Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. I showed this card by Terry Gaines when I showed my Maui swaps, and I had a request to know how exactly she did this. Now, Terry did do a video on that, but I just thought I would show my girls in class how to do that, and I'll just show you how I came up using that same idea that Terry used, but a little bit different here. I did Old Olive down here, and I increased the size of my hills so I could put a bigger writing in there. So let's take a look here at this. Now, and we're also going to do a brand new card online. So the little kit I'm giving my girls has all the pieces in, and I used the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. And on this one, you're just using a quarter sheet of your cardstock. So that's 5.5 by 4.25. All the measurements and products colors I use are underneath the YouTube description as you're watching it. Also, they are on my blog. So if you don't like to switch back and forth, you just look underneath the video description and all the measurements are there and all of the products I use. So in this one, I just put some Designer Series paper at the top. So that creates that backdrop on the inside of the card. And I'm going to be showing you another card, and we're actually putting it together, but I'm just going to show you how I did this one that's in the landscape orientation. Okay, so what you do is you have that quarter sheet, put your Designer Series paper down, then you take and cut a piece of 11-inch cardstock. So you're going on the 11-inch side, and you're going to determine how big you want your hills to be. Like I said, I made my hill a little taller so that I could have a bigger space to write. So once you determine that, you're just going to score that 11-inch. I actually did 2 inches here. You're going to score that 11-inch by 2-inch, rate in half at 5.5. And then you have this like opening mechanism here that you're going to glue down the back part, and then this part opens up. But we're going to want to create that little hill. And you create that hill by using this die that is in the Inspiring Canopy. Now, the Inspiring Canopy dies come with the Inspired Thoughts, one of our tree sets, and then you just put that die right about to the top of your paper, and that's 2 layers there. You're going to run it through your Big Shot. Very easy. Run it through a couple times to make sure it cut through 2 layers. And that's how you kind of create this little ridge here. It kind of happens depending on how tight your die cutting machine is. You'll have that little ridge here. So that is how you create that. Just imagine that on this card here. And then you have, oh, you don't have to imagine it because I think I have a piece in here. No, I don't. Oh, yes, I do. So whenever you actually die cut that, you'll see that it has the hill on it. So then you just pop that onto your card. And this is a kit, so I'm not putting this one together, but the next one we will. It's really cute too. So you've got that, and then you have a big place to put a white die cut in there. And so that is how you create that. Now, to have your trees be, you know, like a silhouette against that background, you just plop the trees on the front of that folded area, and then you put your next layer that you cut here. Now this layer, oh, I thought I had one cut in there. You just take another alternate color here, and really you just want to cover up the bottom of the trees. And what you do is you just look at, see, this went this way, so then I did it a different way. So you had rolling hills, and you just die cut the same way. Just put that die down, and then you're going to end up with this other rolling hill, and you just apply that rolling hill right onto the front of your card, and then you can put your sentiment. I use this stitched square here. I like that, and that's why I also wanted it a little bit higher so I could put this sentiment on. I love that sentiment. And so there we go. Thank you so much for that inspiration for that, Terry. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to put my little toys away here, and I'm going to show you Ha, there we go. This other card I had made, remember I used the Beauty of Friendship dies. So we've got the other tree dies. You've got this big tree here that you can put foliage on a smaller tree, some cute birds, and a couple sentiment dies there also that can be used in many different sets we have. So I use the Beauty of Friendship, and this is the one we are going to actually make, but we're going to make it in a different, you've got this in a landscape. Now we're going to make this one in a portrait. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with that same piece of a quarter sheet of your cardstock, and it's going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And what we're going to do is create essentially that same type of thing, but using a different tree set and different designer series paper. Now you'll remember this card that I made, and I used the trees from the Inspiring Canopies, and I die cut this foliage here, and then I repeated it on the inside. But I wanted to use this big tall tree this time, and I wanted to try my hand at making a portrait style instead of the landscape style. So what I did is I started with that quarter sheet. This is Mary Merlot, and then I'm going to put onto it a piece of that beautiful foliage like I did on the other one. I'm not sure if there's an upside. I think I like it that way. So what we're going to do is pop on. Now you don't actually have to use, you know, I'm going to actually cover up some of this on the bottom, but you can, if you know how far down, how far up your hills are going to go, you could cut off that last little bit and use that scrap somewhere. Oh, that's really pretty too. Okay, but we're going to be doing this. So we're going to put this onto our Mary Merlot, because that's one of the colors in that really pretty paper. And this is just 4 inches by 5 1/4. So we have a nice 1/8 inch border the whole way around there. Okay, so now we're going to do that same concept of opening up those rolling hills. But on this one, I decided to use cinnamon cider that's in this paper. So what I did is I took an 8 1/2 and I made this, I think I made this a little bit, no, I went with 2 inches as well. So 2 inches by 8 1/2, and I scored it at 4 1/4. And then I just folded it on that score line, and then I take this die. Now we also have the curvy dies that are retiring. If you have any type of a rolling hill, you can do that. And then I just put it up pretty close to, actually it looks like I went this way. I went up pretty close to the 2 inch height because I also wanted to have a little bit of room for on the inside. So I just ran that through, and remember that's 2 layers. And then I have this layer to go right on the bottom of my card there. So I'm going to be generous with my adhesive there. Probably glue would have been a really good medium to use. And then you'll just put that on to the bottom inside. Well, the bottom, it's really kind of creates the inside of the card, but it's really on the back of that card base. So you've got your rolling hill there, and then I die cut not this row of trees, but I die cut this bigger tree. Now because it is more just one solitary tree, I did die cut it twice, and I just glued one on top of the other, and it really has good sturdiness to it. And I knew that that was going to fit right there on the front of the card. Now I need to actually create my other hill, and what I did is I did that same thing, and I did it with Mossy Meadow. Now you'll notice this Mossy Meadow is a little bit longer. I'd rather have a little bit of room to play with and then snip a little bit off. Because what did my father-in-law always say? Yes, it's better to have and not need than need and not have. So we're going to put that layer on there. And we just have that tree right in the middle. And once again, I played around with the height of this till I knew where I wanted it to be. Now I'm definitely going to put glue on the back of the bottom of this trunk here to give it some staying power there. You could use a couple glue dots, whatever works there. And like I said, having two layers of the tree really made it nice and sturdy. And then you put your other layer. And like I said, I flipped my die. So whichever way I had my die cutting this hill, I turned it. If I cut it this way, what I did was turned it this way to create that opposite rolling hill there. Now we have got our Mossy Meadow that's pulled out of there, and see how it opens, and you have a nice back of your tree. And then we're just going to snip off this extra little bit here, this Mossy Meadow right along that cinnamon cider. And we've got that cute mechanism there. Now we have the space in here, and I decided to use from this Beauty of Friendship stamp set, I decided to bring out the Merry Merlot and put Thinking of You on the front. And I'm going to put some dimensionals on there. So let's see here. Let's just use these little edges here. I know I shouldn't use my paper snips with my adhesive type things because they get gummy, and I have to clean mine for sure. I think my girls are going to fire me at class if I don't get the guck off them. But then I always tease them that I didn't put the guck there. They put up with a lot from me. Ha ha ha. Okay, so Thinking of You, and that white really, I don't know if that's straight. I don't think it is. So let's pull it off before I take photos of it, because I'll have all the photos, additional photos on my blog and links to the products and such. So there we go. We have a great little front on there. You could also tie a piece of twine on here if you want, but I do like the simplicity of this. So then we're going to open it up, and I decided to use my stitched rectangle dies again, and I put the You Truly Inspire Me, and that's also from the Beauty of Friendship. And I'm going to put that. I was going to put it over here, and then you could write your message here. Let's just think about that. I'm going to go ahead and stick. No, I'm actually going to stick it here because I don't think, I don't know. Should I put the message there? And then you could write over here, Thinking of You. I think I will put it right here. So you could put it on either side, because my plan was to put the message on the back. Now this card is still going to stand up nicely there. And this way you see both of the sentiments when it's standing. You can't really see it this way, but imagine it on the surface and it does stand up nicely. So you would see both sentiments. So my plan was to put a writing spot on the back. So what I was going to do is stamp this other tree, and it's a smaller tree here. And I was going to stamp it and put another sentiment on the back. And then we can use Early Espresso there and put that tree down. And since that tree is just solitary on the front, I'm just going to leave it like that. It kind of looks a little Halloweenish, doesn't it? And then I was going to do and I used my little Stampin' Spot, my Merry Merlot, on these sentiments here because they're a little more of a fine type. And so I'll just go ahead and use that on this sentiment here. Friendship refreshes the soul. There we go. Those spots come in really handy. We do have some spots that are in a collection, but you can also build up your spots by being a paper pumpkin subscriber. That's where I have a lot of mine from. There we go. Friendship refreshes the soul. And then that gives you the opportunity to write onto the back of the card. So we're going to put a little adhesive here. And as I always do, just a little bit of adhesive in the corners so I don't have any lumpies and bumpies when people are writing. And then we can just put that onto the back of the card. And you know what would be really pretty is if this, where is that stamp set? Oh, here. If you took and did cinnamon cider on either one of these, like stamp your stamp in cinnamon cider, then take a sponge dauber and put the sponge dauber in the Merry Merlot and maybe in some Mossy Meadow and just touch it to the stamp and then stamp on top, then you would actually be able to carry over this variegated look. I should have done that, but I didn't. Who knows, maybe it'll be on the blog post and you can go and look. So isn't that like a cute, I do actually think this is very simple, but I actually do think that if you tied a little, do I have one laying here? No, I don't. I did end up using it. A little linen bow would look really cute on there. Maybe that'll be on my pictures too. So there you go. That's a really neat fold that you can do there. And you can write your message there using the Beauty of the Earth. And that's the designer series paper name. And then the Beauty of Friendship. And it was just inspired by this paper, but also inspired by this card that Terry Gaines did. So I appreciate that. We had an online virtual demonstration, and I'm not sure where the demonstrator was from, but she did some really cute things by folding paper over, like doing it. You could also actually do, if you had a 12 by, you could fold over 2 different times. So maybe I'll work on one of those. But I wanted to just show you how that was done because I had a couple questions on that one. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call 724-323-2296. You can also text me. Show me a picture if you made this card. And if you have any questions on the things I used or the measurements, like I said, you can see them in the YouTube description underneath the YouTube video or over on my blog, cindyleebdesigns.com. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.